Welcome to this week's episode of Reprint, brought to you by the Temple News. I'm Ariana and I'm the podcast editor here at the Temple News. We just put out our special edition Lunchies, and this year the newsroom is exploring the campus food truck culture. So this week we'll be hearing from assistant features editor Chloe Pabon and assistant opinion editor Logan Alana to talk about the pieces that they wrote for this special edition. Thank you, Chloe, for joining me today on the pod. And you wrote a piece for our special features edition, which is called Lunchies, and you talked about food pricing on the trucks, or food pricing at the trucks around campus. Do you want to give like a quick summary about what you wrote?
Yeah, so basically I wrote about how both students and food trucks are kind of experiencing this weird position right now because of rising inflation, higher cost of living. Basically, students can't really afford to get their favorite meals at food trucks right now, and the trucks are feeling that, and they're seeing not as many students in their lines, and they've had to react by not raising their prices or just like catering to students essentially.
Yeah. So what made you look at this topic and made you interested in writing about it for this print?
I originally pitched this as, will students do anything for free food? Because I realized that me and my friends do anything for free food, and so do so many students. But then I was like, wait, this is pointing to a bigger issue. Like, students can't really afford to eat right now, and we just had the SNAP crisis and the government shutdown with everything. So I kind of just realized, like, this is important. Like, students need to have the resources to eat, because if you can't eat, then you can't study, you can't function.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, to your point of like, will students do anything for free food? Like, that's kind of the biggest incentive for like student orgs.
Yeah,
like to get people to come to their meetings. So.
Yeah, it originally started when I noticed the Nanu's hot chicken line, and like every year I guess they just like say that they're reopening, and I was like, this line is absurd. And also, like, there is this is like my Trojan horse or my Roman Empire, I'm sorry. There's this big group chat on GroupMe about free food, and students will post like whatever. Like, they'll be like, oh, this club in the student center is giving out free food. Guys, I have extra meal swipes. Who wants them? I need extra meal swipes. Can I have some? Like, it's basically that. And I'm like, this is interesting. Like, students need food, and they're asking for it, and they're engaging with their community in this way. And then we also took the turn with Lunchies about food trucks. I was like, okay, how are food trucks experiencing this effect?
Wow, that's really cool. And you got to interview some people. You talked to some people. Do you want to talk about who you interviewed and like kind of what the takeaways from those conversations were?
Okay, yeah, I interviewed the food truck across from Annenberg. That's the halal food truck. And he gave me the biggest breakdown, honestly. Food trucks have been having it hard for a long time. They have a lot of costs associated with even keeping them up. So when they aren't getting in big business, then they're kind of not making good profit margins. And he also noted that he hadn't seen an increase in his suppliers' food, so their pricing went up. He directly said, like, yeah, we had to raise our pricing and then we stopped because students weren't coming and we need to take care of them. So, and I also talked to the Korea House food truck, and he said the same thing. He directly said, like, students have no money. It's bad for business. So, yeah.
What students did you talk to? Like, what were their takes on this?
I talked to a handful of different students just from canvassing. They basically agreed. They said, I would rather eat out. I'd rather stay in than eat out and just save my money. That's kind of what they've had to resort to. And I think that, like, my personal opinion, I think that we should still be allowed to have a staple that is usually something that's cheap to us, like food trucks. Food trucks are known for being fast, cheap, and easy, and when we can't have that, it's signifying something else.
Absolutely. And I mean, this goes into your stat that you mentioned in the article, which was 41% of students are facing food insecurity right now. That number shocked me, but I also think that kind of speaks to that GroupMe chat that you were just talking about, how like we are like, asking people for or to notify us when like free food is there, or like if they have extra meal swipes. And I mean, I think that there's an aspect of like community there that's really important, but I was taken aback by that stat, because that's a really large, like when you put that into the perspective of like how many students go to Temple, like that's a large amount of people who are food insecure and like trying to study and like go to school. were you able to like scope out any resources or ways that the university might be like trying to mitigate that?
The university has a really great trade pantry. I will say that that's great. They do have like good items and staples every single week, and they also have great like hygiene products that are free for everybody. And then during the SNAP crisis, they did allow students to apply for an emergency fund. But outside of that, I haven't been able to find any other resources for students. And I think that students are put in a particularly difficult position because we're doing school and we might have a part-time job, but that's not covering it all. And we have to pay for tuition. So there's a lot of different bridges that we have to cross.
Yeah, a lot to think about there.
Yeah.
I mean, my last question for you is kind of more of your opinion. Like, is there a food truck on campus that you have been frequenting or, like, favoriting?
So I actually have never been to the food trucks on campus.
Really?
No, I am so sorry. Like, I know this is, like, the entire thing is about food trucks, but I have never been to a food truck on campus. But it speaks to this issue. I mean, I do have a job. I get paid, but, like, also it's, like, big corporations. I just prefer them, but I don't know. I just haven't tried them.
Well, is there a place, like a food place on campus that you would recommend to anyone that's like listening to this podcast?
I really liked Zaxby's. I know we always talk about Zaxby's, but Zaxby's, their mint mocha latte changed my life. During
winter one?
Yes, during finals. Yeah. I was so surprised. It was so good.
That's my favorite drink from there.
It changed my life. Like, I was so happy.
That's good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thank you.
Hi, Logan.
Hey.
Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
So I wanted to talk about two of the pieces that you contributed to the special edition, Lunchies. The first one I want to talk about really quick is the food workers editorial. And I thought that it was an interesting and necessary piece to include in this edition. So do you want to talk a little bit about what it is and why it was chosen to be a part of this print?
Okay, so essentially for the editorial this week for this print, we wanted to, on the editorial board, kind of provide a little bit of insight and I don't want to say a call to action. Well, actually, yes, a call to action to all students on campus to start treating our food workers with respect and kind of just really emphasize that they're human as well. We noted in the editorial that since COVID and like a whole bunch of online changes have happened that like impact the way we order food and not really having those face-to-face interactions anymore, it's important that when ordering food, you acknowledge, things aren't going to be as quick as you want to and just that the food workers are human too. They're just trying to do their jobs.
Yeah. Keeping the manners and the humanity.
Definitely.
In the consumerism. Like what compelled the editorial board to like was there a specific thing that was like witnessed or like is there any behavior specifically that you've been seeing that like compelled this piece to be included?
No specific like event per se, but we all did kind of just think about Morgan Hall and the food court down there and how like Panda Express in specific, especially after 6 p.m. there's like a huge rush and there's one guy who's always like kind of talking to the crowd and saying like, we do this for you, and about how a lot of people don't respect that, in addition to just in general thinking about the student center and Chick-fil-A and just observations we've had on campus on how hectic ordering food can be and seeing the stress of the workers here.
For sure. Panera Bread also comes to mind for me.
Definitely.
'Cause that one gets really backed up.
Especially in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to touch on that quickly because that was a piece that intrigued me. And I think it's definitely something that should get attention. And I think people should read it and consider how they act and like how they're talking to people who are, making their food and serving their food. So.
Exactly.
Another piece that you wrote that I was really interested in was the protein piece.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to talk about like just a quick summary of like what you wrote?
Within current nutrition marketing and trends online, there's been like a protein PR run and a fad that everybody's obsessed with, needing to meet these macro needs. And I kind of just wanted to argue that meals shouldn't have to feel like they need to be optimized, but just be meals. Like, you shouldn't have to have the pressure subconsciously to, I need 140 grams of protein per day, you know?
Absolutely. So one quote that I picked out that really just like caught my eye was, you said, health should not come at the cost of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting with that for a moment, like, what does that mean to you?
I think balance, like, in one word, if I was to answer that question, balance, acknowledging that health is what drives your life and everything you do every day, but understanding that to be healthy, you also have to keep yourself satisfied. So whether that means, you know, if you are on a health journey, having a snack or two every now and again, just, you know, treating yourselves in a way that's not overindulging, but maintaining that balance to still keep yourself healthy.
For sure. For me, I kind of like interpret it as like we should be prioritizing like love for food and like the joy and comfort that it can bring.
Yes.
Over like a calorie count.
Yes.
Or like a protein goal.
Yes, because with one of the experts that I had, she was a nutrition like specialist and a professor here, I believe. She also talked about how like the protein fat can lead to unhealthy eating expectations within, you have to meet this, and that contributing to like you said, counting calories and things like that.
Yeah. Do you want to like talk a little bit more about that chat that you had with the nutritionist, because I found that to be interesting?
Yes, shout out to Miss Smethers. Yes, that's her name. She told me a common misconception that a lot of teens that she's seeing, or like just young adults she's been seeing that have happened recently with the protein PR run, and how they'll adjust the amount of protein they need based on their weight. And then ironically, I got an interview with a guy who said that he uses his weight to kind of like dictate how much protein he has. So just getting those little small pieces of information about how the protein craze isn't as, you know, healthily beneficial as people think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually I thought that was interesting that you had the advice from the nutritionist, and then right after there was like a quote from someone that was like, yeah, like I'm really into the protein, like I, you know, do all of that. What, like, was there something specific that interested you in like writing about this topic, and why is it important for you to let lunch be lunch, as you said?
This topic stuck to me because I've been on like a personal eating healthy journey, and my thing right now has been fiber intake, especially within college, and like us eating a lot of processed food, so just prioritizing that. But online I seen that everybody is like eating protein chips and protein shakes, so I was like, what about protein is it that everybody is so obsessed with? And that kind of guided the inspiration for this piece. But for the second question, within letting lunch be lunch, I don't know, personally, I don't take the time that I feel like I need to eat every day. And I know that with every like college student having different schedules and maybe sharing that same sentiment, if you are counting protein macros and such, that kind of takes away from you just giving your body the nourishment that it needs, because you're so worried about that.
For sure. So yeah, as we're thinking about like enjoying food and finding comfort in food rather than trying to meet these goals and like putting stress on our eating habits, like what meal or meals are comforting you right now?
Right now I am loving chicken and rice. I'm also loving Alfredo because it's just an easy, quick dorm meal to make. For those who have kitchens, it's super simple. And also pot roast. It's starting to get cold out, so I feel like I've been really tapping into my soups, my roast, my feel-good meals that keep me warm but also, you know, fill me up.
For sure. That was great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Reprint. You can find these stories and many more on our website at www.temple-news.com. You can also find us on all socials at The Temple News. Again, my name is Ariana Droz, and I will catch you at the next one.